Part 1. The beginning of the journey. Welcome. Before we discuss documents, before we talk about commercial paper, before we mention trusts, bonds, or secured party creditors, the author asks us to stop and answer one question. What is redemption? According to this manual, redemption is not merely a legal process or a collection of documents. It is presented as a complete change in the way a person understands his relationship with government, commerce, property, and responsibility. The author begins by explaining that many people live without ever questioning the system around them. They work, pay taxes, register property, sign contracts, appear in court when required, and participate in daily life without examining the assumptions behind those actions. To illustrate this idea, the manual repeatedly uses the film The Matrix as a metaphor. Just as the characters in the movie are unaware of the system controlling their lives until they awaken to it, the author suggests that the reader should be willing to question accepted beliefs and examine information that may be unfamiliar or controversial. Throughout these opening pages, the author emphasizes that redemption is presented as an educational journey rather than a shortcut. The reader is encouraged to study, research, test ideas, and continue learning instead of expecting one book to provide every answer. According to the author, redemption begins with education. Only after understanding the concepts can a person evaluate the procedures that appear later in the manual. The author then introduces one of the central themes that will continue throughout the book: the distinction between the position of a debtor and that of a secured party creditor. Within the framework presented by this manual, the movement from one position to the other represents what the author calls redemption. It is described as a process intended to restore control, standing, and responsibility over one's affairs through an understanding of commerce and the systems discussed in later chapters. The manual also introduces its historical and commercial narrative to explain why the author believes this process became necessary. These opening sections establish the author's interpretation of history and commerce as the foundation upon which the remainder of the manual is built. Rather than immediately presenting forms or administrative procedures, the author spends considerable time defining the problem as he sees it. His position is that understanding the framework is more important than memorizing documents. Throughout this section, one message is repeated consistently: knowledge must come before action. The author encourages the reader not to imitate forms blindly, but to understand the principles behind every document, every process, and every decision. This philosophy becomes the foundation for everything that follows. As the discussion progresses, redemption is presented not simply as recovering property or resolving financial matters, but as a broader educational process that requires discipline, personal responsibility, continued study, and careful application of the concepts introduced throughout the manual. Whether one ultimately agrees or disagrees with the author's conclusions, these opening chapters establish the lens through which the remainder of the book should be understood. Every subsequent teaching returns to this foundation. Every later document assumes the reader understands this beginning. This is where the journey starts. Part 2. Understanding the author's historical framework. Welcome back. Before the author teaches forms, before filing documents, before discussing commercial procedures, he asks the reader to understand what he believes happened to the system itself. According to the manual, no commercial process can be understood without first examining the historical events that, in the author's view, changed the relationship between the individual, government, banking, and commerce. The author argues that the modern financial system did not appear by accident. Instead, he presents it as the result of a long historical progression involving political decisions, banking institutions, emergency legislation, and changes to the nation's monetary system. Within this framework, the reader is introduced to the idea that commerce became the dominant operating system of society. The manual then explores a series of historical events that the author believes transformed the legal and financial landscape of the United States. Among the subjects discussed are the establishment of the Federal Reserve, the banking system, emergency powers during the early 20th century, the economic crisis of the 1930s, and the transition away from currency backed by precious metals. According to the author, these developments are interconnected and form the background for everything that follows in the manual. The author also presents his interpretation of how debt, credit, negotiable instruments, and commercial relationships became central to modern government and finance. Throughout these chapters, he repeatedly encourages the reader to examine history from what he considers a commercial perspective rather than relying solely on conventional explanations. Another recurring theme is education. The author urges readers to investigate historical records, legislation, banking practices, and financial systems for themselves. Rather than accepting information at face value, the reader is encouraged to compare sources, study original documents where possible, and continue researching beyond the manual itself. As this historical narrative develops, the manual introduces the concept that understanding commerce is essential before attempting to understand any of the administrative processes described later. According to the author, many people focus immediately on forms and filings while overlooking the broader system those procedures are intended to operate within. The author argues that studying history first provides the context necessary to understand the purpose behind later commercial documents. Throughout this section, one central message remains consistent. Knowledge should come before procedure. Understanding should come before paperwork. Education should come before action. By the conclusion of this historical foundation, the reader has been introduced to the author's overall explanation of why the redemption process exists and why the remaining chapters will focus on commercial status, documentation, and administrative procedures. Whether the reader ultimately accepts or rejects the author's conclusions, these chapters establish the historical lens through which the rest of the manual is intended to be read. The foundation has now been laid, the history has been presented, the philosophy has been established. From this point forward, the manual begins shifting from explaining why the author believes the system works as it does to explaining how the reader is expected to operate within that framework. The journey now moves from theory toward practice. Part 3, the operational framework. Welcome back. Until this moment, our journey has been one of observation. We have explored the author's definition of redemption. We have followed the historical path that, according to the manual, transformed commerce into the operating language of modern society. We have watched the author build his explanation of banking, currency, government, commercial relationships, and the historical events that he believes shape the world we now live in. But according to this manual, knowledge alone changes nothing. History explains the road, yet history does not teach you how to walk it. And so the journey changes. For the first time, the manual stops asking you to observe the system and begins asking you to operate within it. This is the beginning of what the author presents as the operational framework. Notice something important. The manual does not begin this new phase by handing the reader a stack of forms and saying, "Fill these out." Instead, the author slows the pace. Before discussing signatures, before discussing filings, before discussing notices, he asks the reader to understand that every document is connected. According to the author's framework, no document exists by itself. Every paper, every agreement, every notice, every filing is presented as one component of a larger structure. Imagine attempting to build a house by beginning with the roof. The materials might be correct, the measurements might be correct, but without a foundation, the structure cannot stand. According to the manual, that same principle applies here. The forms are not the foundation. Understanding is. Throughout the operational section, the author repeatedly returns to a single idea. Do not rush. Study first. Understand the sequence. See how every piece supports the next before attempting to assemble the whole. This advice appears simple, yet it quietly becomes one of the most important lessons in the entire manual. Because according to the author, mistakes rarely occur because someone lacks paperwork. Mistakes occur because someone fails to understand why the paperwork exists in the first place. The manual therefore introduces what it presents as the cornerstone of the operational process, the security agreement, not because it is merely another document, but because, according to the author's framework, it establishes the relationship upon which every later step depends. The security agreement is presented as the beginning of an interconnected system rather than an isolated form. From this point forward, the author no longer treats documents as independent actions. Instead, he begins constructing what resembles an operating system. Each component receives its purpose. Each component receives its place. Each component derives meaning from the one that came before it. As the reader advances, the operational picture becomes clearer. The process is not portrayed as collecting forms. It is portrayed as assembling a complete commercial structure. One document identifies relationships. Another provides authority. Another gives notice. Another records interest. Another communicates intentions. Another supports claims through sworn statements. Each performs a different function, but according to the author, none was intended to stand alone. Every document, every instruction, every example is presented as part of a larger commercial architecture. According to the author's framework, the strength of the process is never found in a single piece of paper. It is found in the relationship between all of them. The manual therefore encourages the reader to think differently, not as someone completing forms, but as someone assembling a complete administrative record. This distinction quietly changes everything. Most people, the author suggests, begin by asking, what document do I need? But throughout these pages, a different question begins to emerge. How does this document support everything that came before it? That single shift in perspective transforms the way the entire manual is read. No longer are the documents isolated instructions. They become links in a carefully ordered chain. As the operational framework continues to unfold, another principle becomes increasingly clear. Preparation is itself part of the process. The author spends considerable time discussing organization, names, identifiers, references, supporting records, cross-referencing documents, maintaining consistency, recording information accurately. At first glance, these details may appear ordinary, even tedious, but according to the manual, precision is not simply a matter of appearance. It is part of maintaining the integrity of the entire administrative framework. The operational process as presented by the author is intended to function as a unified system. If one component contradicts another, confusion follows. If dates fail to match, uncertainty is created. If identifiers change unexpectedly, continuity begins to weaken. Because of this, the manual repeatedly emphasizes careful preparation over hurried completion. This is not presented as a race, it is presented as a discipline. Throughout the following pages, new documents continue to appear, each one serving a distinct purpose. Some establish authority, others communicate notice, some preserve records, others define relationships, some support claims, others memorialize facts through sworn declarations. Each document performs its own function, yet according to the author's explanation, their true value emerges only when viewed together. Imagine an orchestra. A violin may produce beautiful music, so may a piano or a trumpet, but none of them alone creates a symphony. The conductor's role is not to make one instrument louder than the others. The conductor's responsibility is to ensure that every instrument enters at precisely the right moment, performing precisely the role it was intended to perform. According to this manual, the operational framework functions in much the same way. The security agreement, the power of attorney, the financing statements, the notices, the affidavits, the correspondence, the examples, each represents an instrument within a larger composition. None replaces another, none eliminates another. Each contributes to what the author presents as one complete administrative process. As this becomes clear, another lesson quietly reveals itself. The manual is teaching far more than paperwork. It is teaching methodology. Methodology shapes discipline. Discipline shapes consistency. Consistency shapes credibility. And credibility, according to the author's framework, becomes one of the defining characteristics of the entire operational process. For this reason, the examples included throughout the manual are not presented merely as templates to copy. They function as demonstrations. They show rhythm, sequence, structure, order. The reader is invited to observe not only what is written, but why it appears where it does, why one document precedes another, why one notice follows another, why certain records support later records. The process, according to the manual, is cumulative. Each completed step becomes part of the foundation supporting the next. By now, the transformation that began at the end of the historical section has become unmistakable. The reader is no longer standing outside the author's commercial framework, looking in. The reader has stepped inside it. From this point forward, every page assumes that understanding is gradually becoming action, and action, according to the author, requires patience, not excitement, not haste, patience, because the operational system is presented not as a single event, but as something built, piece by piece, until the entire structure stands on its own, to be continued on number 2, operating secured.